Commander John Miller adjusted his uniform as the shuttle approached the massive ring-shaped station. Through the viewport, he could see ships of various shapes and sizes, each more alien than the last. After 3 decades in Earth's space forces, he thought nothing could surprise him anymore. He was wrong. "Nervous?" asked Ambassador Lisa Wright, the only other human on the shuttle. "Just cautious," Miller replied. "First contact situations don't always go as planned." Lisa nodded. As Earth's first official diplomat to the Galactic Council, she carried the hopes of 7 billion humans on her shoulders. The last 6 months had been a whirlwind since the alien probe appeared in Earth's orbit, bringing news that humans were not alone in the universe. Now they were about to meet representatives from 27 different alien species. "Remember," she said, "we're here to establish friendly relations and hopefully secure protection for our colonies. These beings have technologies centuries beyond ours." Miller frowned. "That's what worries me." The shuttle docked with a gentle bump. As the airlock cycled, Miller took a deep breath of recycled air, perhaps the last familiar thing he would experience today. 2 beings waited for them. One was tall and slender with blue-tinted skin and 4 arms. The other resembled a large feline with scales instead of fur. Both wore similar silver uniforms with symbols Miller assumed showed their rank. "Welcome to Harmony Station," the blue being said in perfect English. "I am Liaison Officer Zelta. You may call me Exel. This is Security Chief Morva. We will escort you to the council chambers." As they walked through wide corridors, aliens of all descriptions moved about their business. Some nodded politely at the humans. Others stared with what Miller hoped was just curiosity. "Your universal translators are working correctly?" Zell asked. Lisa touched the small device behind her ear. "Yes, perfectly. Your technology is amazing." Zell made a sound that might have been a laugh. "This is simple tech by council standards. It was programmed based on your world's broadcasts. Your species has been quite noisy transmission-wise." They entered a massive circular room. Tiered seating surrounded a central platform. Representatives from various species occupied the seats, some humanoid, others utterly alien in form. "Please wait here," Zell said, indicating a small area near the central platform. "The council session will begin shortly." As they waited, Miller noticed many of the aliens examining them. He felt like a zoo exhibit. A deep tone sounded and the room quieted. A tall reptilian being in elaborate robes approached a podium. "The council recognizes Earth Representatives Ambassador Lisa Wright and Military Liaison Commander John Miller," the reptilian being announced. "I am High Counselor Drax of the Zintaran Alliance. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I welcome you to the community of spacefaring civilizations." Lisa stepped forward. "High Counselor, esteemed representatives, we bring greetings from Earth. We are honored to join this gathering of advanced cultures and hope to learn from your wisdom." Her words were met with polite nods, but Miller noticed several representatives exchanging glances that seemed less than impressed. Drax continued, "The purpose of this session is to evaluate Earth's application for protected status within Council space. Before we proceed, are there questions for our new arrivals?" A bulky stone-skinned being stood. "I am Ambassador Zulthar of the Varaxian Dominion. Humans have only recently achieved faster-than-light travel. What can Earth offer the Council in return for protection? Your technology is primitive by our standards." Lisa answered diplomatically, "While we acknowledge our technological disadvantages, Earth has much to offer in terms of cultural exchange, unique biological resources, and our perspective as newcomers." Another alien, this one resembling a tall insect, spoke next. "The reports indicate humans maintain substantial military forces despite having achieved planetary unification. Why?" Miller stepped forward. "For protection. Our history taught us to be prepared." "Protection against what?" Zulthar asked with clear amusement. "Your weapons are ineffective against even our civilian vessels." "Our weapons serve their purpose," Miller replied evenly. "Do they?" Zulthar projected a hologram showing Earth's largest battleship. Your most advanced vessel uses primitive projectile, weapons and nuclear warheads. Such technology was abandoned by council races millennia ago. Several council members laughed openly. Zulthar continued, "These kinetic weapons fire metal at high speeds, and you consider this advanced?" "Kinetic energy works," Miller said, feeling his face grow hot. "Perhaps against other humans," said another council member. "Our ships are protected by energy fields that would vaporize such primitive projectiles." Lisa tried to redirect the conversation. "We didn't come to discuss military technology." "But it is relevant," Zulthar interrupted. "The Council protects developing species, but you must understand your place. Humans seem to believe they can defend themselves. This overconfidence concerns us." Miller couldn't stay silent. "With respect, Ambassador, human history is filled with technologically superior forces being defeated by primitive opponents, using innovative tactics." This statement caused more laughter to ripple through the chamber. "Commander Miller," Drax said, "no offense is intended. But you must understand the gap between us. The weapons you're so proud of are to us what stone spears would be to you." For the next hour, the Council questioned them about Earth's resources, governance, and cultural practices. Throughout, the condescending tone remained, especially when military matters arose. After the session ended, Zell showed them to their quarters on the station. "That could have gone better," Miller muttered once they were alone. Lisa sank into a chair. "They see us as children. Did you notice how they kept using words like developing and primitive?" "Hard to miss," Miller replied. "Especially that Varaxian ambassador. He practically called our entire defense force a joke." "We need this alliance, John," Lisa said quietly. "There are threats out there we know nothing about. The Council has protected other young species from extinction." Miller looked out the viewport at the stars. "At what cost, though? Becoming their pets? Their servants?" Lisa's communication device chimed. She read the message and frowned. "Council Intelligence wants to interview us separately tomorrow. Standard procedure, apparently." "I bet," Miller said. "They're not worried about our weapons. They're worried about what they don't understand about us." Later that night, Miller couldn't sleep. He accessed the data package they'd been given about Council species and technologies. The technological gap was even wider than he'd feared. Their energy weapons, faster-than-light drives, and defensive systems made Earth's best technology look like toys. But as he read about their warfare history, something caught his attention. For centuries, Council races had focused exclusively on energy-based weapons and defenses designed to counter them. They had optimized their battles into almost mathematical exercises, with little room for the chaos and unpredictability that defined human conflicts. Miller made notes until early morning. When Lisa knocked on his door, she found him surrounded by data displays. "You look terrible," she said. "I've been thinking," Miller replied. "Maybe being underestimated isn't such a bad thing." "What do you mean?" "They're so sure they know everything about warfare. So sure their way is the only way." He smiled slightly. "History isn't kind to empires that think that way." Lisa looked concerned. "We're not here to fight them, John." "No," Miller agreed. "But someday we might need to fight alongside them. And when that day comes, they'll learn that sometimes the oldest, simplest solutions work when all the fancy ones fail." 6 months passed since the first meeting with the Galactic Council. Earth had gained observer status, but little else. The Council continued to treat humans with polite distance, like adults watching children play with toys. Admiral Frank Cooper stared at the holographic display in Earth Command's Situation Room. Red dots marked the locations of missing colony ships near Epsilon Eridani. 3 ships in 2 weeks, he said. No distress calls, no debris. General Alan Shepard nodded grimly. "The Council claims they have no information." "They're lying," Cooper replied. "Their monitoring stations cover that entire sector." The door slid open and Commander Miller walked in. 6 months at Harmony Station had changed him. He looked tired, his uniform hanging slightly loose. Admiral General, Miller said with a quick salute. I came as soon as I got your message. Cooper gestured to a chair. What's the Council saying about our missing ships? Officially, that space is dangerous and developing species often lose vessels to natural phenomena. Miller's voice was bitter. Unofficially, I've heard whispers about something called the Kravek. The what? Shepard asked. A species not part of the Council. Aggressive, territorial. They've been attacking outer systems for months now. Cooper leaned forward. And the Council didn't think to warn us? According to my source, the Council Security Committee decided humans weren't evolved enough to join their defense coalition. Miller's face hardened. They think we'd only complicate matters with our primitive approaches to warfare. Cooper slammed his fist on the table. People are dying while they play politics. What's our best ship in that region? Shepard asked. The USS Defiant, Cooper replied. Captain Diane Russell commanding, fast, well-armed. If anyone can find answers, it's her. 3 days later, Captain Russell stood on the bridge of the Defiant looking at the remnants of Outpost Epsilon 7. The human research station was now nothing but twisted metal fragments. Her science officer, Lieutenant Steve Clark, worked at his console, analyzing sensor data. Captain, Clark called out, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures, nothing like I've ever seen before. Russell moved to his station. Can you identify the weapon type? Not exactly, but it's not Council technology. The radiation pattern is all wrong. Russell touched her communication panel. Russell to engineering. Chief Martinez, I need everything you've got from the sensors. We're looking at an unknown weapon signature. On it, Captain, came the reply. As the Defiant continued its investigation, they detected a faint distress signal from a nearby asteroid field. Following it, they found a small escape pod. Inside was Dr. Eric Fields, the sole survivor from Epsilon 7. In the ship's medical bay, Fields told his story. They came without warning. Ships like nothing I've ever seen. Black, with jagged edges. They didn't respond to hails, just opened fire. Did you record any images? Russell asked. Fields nodded weakly. Data chip, in my pocket. The images showed everything. Alien ships that looked like they were made from obsidian. Weapons that cut through the station's hull like it was paper. And worst of all, a clear Council observation vessel watching from a distance, taking no action to help. Russell immediately sent the data to Earth Command. Cooper and Shepard wasted no time. They called an emergency meeting with Ambassador Wright, who was visiting Earth for consultations. They knew, Wright said, her face pale as she watched the recording. They knew, and they did nothing. We need to confront them, Cooper said. Demand answers and support. Wright shook her head. That approach won't work. They'll just claim the observer ship was there to study the Kravek, not to intervene. Then what do you suggest? Shepard asked. Let me take this directly to the full Council, not just the Security Committee. Some members will be appalled that humans were left defenseless. 2 weeks later, Ambassador Wright stood before the Galactic Council. The chamber was the same, but the mood was tense. She had carefully built alliances with representatives from species who had also once been developing races. Honored Council members, she began, I come before you with evidence that human colonies are being attacked by a species known as the Kravek. Evidence that your own observation vessels recorded these attacks and took no action. Murmurs spread through the chamber. High Counselor Drax looked uncomfortable. Furthermore, Wright continued, I have learned that the Council Security Committee deliberately chose to withhold information about this threat from Earth. Zulthar of the Varaxian Dominion stood. Ambassador Wright oversteps. The Security Committee makes decisions based on complex factors. Humans are not yet ready to join collective defense efforts. Your military doctrine is incompatible with Council strategies. Incompatible? Wright's voice was steady but intense. People are dying, Ambassador. My people. An elderly representative from a species called the Ardani rose slowly. I remind the Council that my own people once stood where humans now stand. Were we not also deemed incompatible until we proved useful? I support Earth's request for information and assistance. The debate raged for hours. In the end, the Council agreed to share basic information about the Kravek, but stopped short of offering military support. They believe the Kravek will lose interest in human territories after taking what they want, Wright told Cooper and Shepard upon her return to Earth. They say the Kravek avoid confrontation with superior forces. And since we're not a superior force in their eyes, we're on our own, Cooper concluded. Essentially, yes. As they spoke, reports came in of more attacks. The Kravek were moving inward, targeting colonies closer to Earth. Their ships were faster than anything humans had built. Their weapons cut through Earth's best defenses. In an emergency session of Earth's United Defense Force, General Shepard addressed the room. We're facing an enemy with technology far beyond our own. The Council won't help us. We need options. Doctor, Samantha Kelly, head of Advanced Weapons Research, stood up. We've been developing systems that the Council would consider obsolete, but they might be exactly what we need now. Explain, Cooper said. Kelly activated a holographic display showing weapon designs. The Council races have focused exclusively on energy-based weapons and defenses against SAME for over 1,000 years. They've forgotten the basics: kinetic energy, chemical explosives, even modified nuclear weapons. The very weapons they mocked, Miller said, understanding dawning on his face. Exactly, Kelly replied. The Kravek use similar energy-based systems to the Council. Their shields are designed to disperse energy weapons. But physical projectiles, especially the new railgun designs, they might not be prepared for those. Cooper looked at the weapon schematics, then at the map showing Kravek advancement toward Earth. How quickly can we deploy these systems? The prototypes are ready, Kelly said. We need approval to mass produce. Cooper nodded. Do it, and send the Defiant to test them. If they work. He didn't finish his sentence. Everyone knew what was at stake. Not just human lives, but humanity's place in the galaxy. They had been dismissed as primitive, their methods mocked as childish. Perhaps it was time to show the galaxy what those primitive methods could do. The Kravek attacks grew bolder. Reports from the outer colonies were grim. 3 more outposts had fallen in the past week alone. Earth's forces were stretched thin, trying to evacuate civilians faster than the alien ships could reach them. Captain Diane Russell stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant, watching as her crew installed the new weapon systems. Chief Engineer Maria Martinez supervised as technicians fitted the experimental railguns into place. How's it looking, Chief? Russell asked. Martinez wiped sweat from her forehead. Almost there, Captain. These babies will be ready for testing in about 6 hours. We may not have 6 hours, Russell replied, pointing to the tactical display. 3 red dots were approaching the mining colony on Proxima B. Kravek ships? Russell nodded. And they're moving fast. Martinez barked orders to her team. Double time, people. We need these weapons online now. As the Defiant prepared for battle, an unexpected message came through on a secure channel. The face of High Counselor Drax appeared on the main screen. Captain Russell, he said, his reptilian features tense. We have an emergency situation. Russell was surprised to see the Council leader contacting a human ship directly. We're a bit busy with our own emergency, Counselor. The situations are related, Drax replied. The Kravek have bypassed our defense networks. They've attacked 3 Council worlds, including a Varaxian colony near Proxima Centauri. Our weapons have proven... He hesitated. Ineffective. Russell tried to hide her surprise. The mighty Council weapons aren't working? Drax's scales darkened in what might have been embarrassment. The Kravek have developed shields that adapt to our energy weapons. They absorb and redirect the energy. We cannot penetrate their defenses. And why are you telling me this? Because we've detected your ship installing new weapon systems, weapons of a type we haven't used in millennia. Kinetic weapons. Russell exchanged glances with her first officer, Commander Ben Harris. And suddenly our primitive weapons aren't so funny anymore? Drax ignored the comment. We request your assistance. A Varaxian battleship is under attack near your position. They cannot hold out much longer. Russell considered the request. Stand by, Counselor. She muted the communication and turned to her officers. Thoughts? It's a trap, Harris said immediately. They just want to see if our weapons work so they can copy them. Martinez shook her head. If the Krevek can take out Council ships, we're next anyway. Might as well see if our railguns work now. Russell unmuted the channel. We'll help, Counselor. Send us the coordinates. The Defiant arrived at the battle scene 30 minutes later. A massive Varaxian battleship was surrounded by 3 Krevek vessels, their black hulls absorbing the energy blasts from the Varaxian ship like they were nothing. Shields up, Russell ordered. Prepare to fire railguns 1 and 2. Railguns, charged and ready, reported the weapons officer, Lieutenant Kate Daniels. Target the nearest Krevek ship and fire. The Defiant shuddered as the first railgun fired. A solid tungsten rod, accelerated to a fraction of light speed, streaked toward the Krevek vessel. It struck the shield, which flared brightly, and then the rod punched through, tearing into the alien hull. Silence fell over the bridge. Then Harris whispered, "It worked." The Krevek ship listed to one side, leaking atmosphere into space. The other 2 enemy vessels broke off their attack on the Varaxian ship and turned toward the Defiant. They don't like that, Russell said with grim satisfaction. Fire all railguns. Let's show them what primitive technology can do. The battle lasted just 12 minutes. When it was over, all 3 Krevek ships were floating dead in space, their hulls punctured by multiple railgun shots. The Defiant had taken hits as well, but their conventional shields had held against most of the alien energy weapons. The Varaxian battleship hailed them. Ambassador Zulthar's face appeared on screen, his stone-like features showing what might have been respect. "Captain Russell," he said, "it seems we owe you a debt." "Just helping our galactic neighbors," Russell replied coolly. "Your weapons—" Zulthar seemed to struggle with the words. "They were effective. Primitive but effective," Russell couldn't help adding. 2 days later, an emergency session of the Galactic Council convened. This time, Admiral Cooper and Dr. Kelly joined Ambassador Wright. The council chamber was subdued, many representatives showing signs of stress. Reports indicated that 17 council worlds were now under Krevek attack. High Counselor Drax opened the session. "We face an unprecedented crisis. The Krevek have found a way to neutralize our primary weapon systems, but there is hope." He looked directly at the human delegation. "Our human allies have demonstrated a weapon technology that can penetrate Krevek defenses." Murmurs spread through the chamber. Ambassador Zulthar stood and addressed the council. "I once mocked human weapons as primitive toys," he said. "I was wrong. They're kinetic weapons, their railguns, cut through Krevek shields when our most advanced energy weapons failed. I formally request a military alliance with Earth." Wright exchanged glances with Cooper. This was the moment they had been waiting for. "The people of Earth are willing to help," Cooper said, standing tall. "But we have conditions." "Conditions?" Several council members asked, sounding offended. "Yes," Cooper continued. "Full membership in the Council for Earth, equal standing among galactic species, and access to council technology to improve our defenses." The council erupted in debate. Many representatives argued that humans were still too undeveloped for full membership. Others pointed out that without human weapons, they might not survive to debate anything. In the end, a compromise was reached. Earth would receive provisional, full membership, to be reviewed after the Krevek crisis ended. In return, humans would share their kinetic weapon designs and assist in the defense of Council space. As the session ended, Dr. Kelly approached Zulthar. "Ambassador, we need to begin retrofitting Council ships with railgun technology immediately. We'll need your engineers to work with our weapons teams." Zulthar's stone face showed uncertainty. "Your weapons are so basic. Our engineers are trained in energy physics and quantum manipulation." Kelly smiled. "Sometimes the most basic solutions are the ones we forget." Your people have been fighting energy with energy for so long that you forgot about mass and velocity. The Kravik made the same mistake. We became too specialized, Zulthar admitted. Too confident in our technological path. That's why the galaxy needs diversity, Kelly said. Different species, different approaches, different weapons. As they left the council chamber, Cooper pulled Wright aside. Do you think they'll honor the agreement if we help them win this war? Wright watched as council representatives hurried about organizing their response to the Kravik threat. They don't have much choice. The next step is to get our weapons onto their ships before the Kravik reach any more worlds. And hope they work just as well the second time, Cooper added. They will, Kelly assured them, joining the conversation. Sometimes the old ways are the best ways. The massive Voraxian battleship Unyielding Might floated in the orbital shipyard above Earth. Its sleek hull, designed for energy weapon efficiency, was now being modified with what many council engineers considered ancient technology. Earth's best engineers worked alongside alien technicians, fitting railgun mounts onto vessels never designed to carry such weapons. Paul Winters, Earth's lead weapons integration specialist, wiped sweat from his brow as he explained the railgun system to a group of Voraxian engineers. Their stone-like faces showed confusion and occasional distaste. The principle is simple, Winters said, pointing to the massive weapon. Electromagnetic acceleration of a solid projectile. No plasma, no lasers, just good old-fashioned kinetic energy. But it's so crude, said Chief Engineer Grelvar, the Voraxian team leader. We abandoned such designs 10,000 years ago. Winters smiled patiently. Sometimes the old ways work best. Your energy weapons are more advanced, sure, but the Kravik have adapted to them. They haven't adapted to tungsten rods moving at near relativistic speeds. Grelvar touched the railgun housing with a four-fingered hand. The power requirements are enormous. That's where your technology helps us, Winters replied. Your power cores can handle it easily. We just need to modify the delivery systems. Across the shipyard, similar scenes played out as 20 council vessels underwent retrofitting. Time was short. Reports indicated the Kravik were massing for an assault on the Tau Ceti system, home to both human and council colonies. Admiral Cooper stood with Ambassador Zulthar in the observation deck, watching the work proceed. Your people learn quickly, Zulthar commented, watching a human engineer explain something to a group of insectoid aliens. We've had to, Cooper replied. Earth has a long history of adapting to survive. The council underestimated you, Zulthar admitted. We saw your technology and judged you primitive. We didn't consider your adaptability. Cooper smiled thinly. A common mistake in history. The technologically superior force assumes they'll win easily. And often they don't, Zulthar finished. My people have studied your military history since the incident with the Defiant. Your species has a remarkable talent for asymmetric warfare. We've had plenty of practice fighting against superior forces, Cooper said. Now we just need to hope it works against the Kravik. 3 days later, the retrofitted fleet was ready. Captain Russell had been promoted to fleet commander, given her experience with the new weapons against Kravik ships. She would lead the human contingent while Commander Trelvox, Zulthar's nephew, would command the Voraxian vessels. Together, they would defend the Tau Ceti system. Russell paced the bridge of the newly commissioned USS Vanguard, the first human ship built with both Earth technology and Council enhancements. Her crew was a mix of humans and aliens, each bringing their unique skills. Status report, she called out. Lieutenant Daniels responded from the weapons station. All railguns charged and ready, conventional missiles armed. Council engineers have finished integrating their sensor technology with our targeting systems. Engineering reports all systems green, added Commander Harris. The Voraxian power core is performing beyond expectations. Russell nodded. And the fleet? All 23 ships in position, Harris replied. 17 council vessels and 6 human ships, all retrofitted with railgun technology. Russell studied the tactical display. Their fleet was positioned around Tau Ceti 4, a habitable, World with 3 million colonists, a mix of humans and 5 council species. They had established a defensive perimeter and mined the most likely approach vectors with conventional explosives, another primitive technology the council had abandoned millennia ago. Message from Commander Trelvox, Daniels announced. Kravek fleet detected entering the system. 37 ships, including what appears to be their flagship. Russell took a deep breath. Patch me through to all ships. When the channel opened, she spoke clearly and confidently. This is Fleet Commander Russell. The enemy approaches in superior numbers, but we have the advantage of surprise. They don't know about our new weapons. Hold positions until my command. Remember your training and trust your shipmates, whatever species they may be. Today we fight not just for Earth or for the Council, but for all who wish to live free from the Kravek threat. Russell out. The bridge fell silent as they watched. The enemy fleet approach. The Kravek ships moved with an eerie coordination, their black hulls absorbing light rather than reflecting it. They looked like moving shadows against the stars. They're deploying into attack formation, Harris reported. Standard Council approach. Pattern? They're expecting energy weapons. Russell nodded. Let them come closer. We want to make sure every shot counts. On the unyielding might, Commander Trelvox watched the approaching enemy with mandibles tight against his face, a sign of tension in Varaxians. Beside him, Engineer Grelvar monitored the newly installed railguns. The weapons are fully charged, Commander, Grelvar reported, though I still question their effectiveness against so many vessels. You saw the reports, Trelvox replied. These weapons cut through their shields when our best cannons failed. One engagement doesn't prove a pattern. Then today will provide more data, Trelvox said firmly. The Kravek fleet drew closer, seemingly confident in their approach. Their lead ships activated their energy shields, translucent barriers designed to disperse energy weapons. Russell watched her tactical display, waiting for the perfect moment. When the Kravek flagship entered optimal range, she gave the order that would change galactic history. All ships, fire railguns. Throughout the fleet, electromagnetic launchers activated simultaneously. Hundreds of tungsten rods accelerated to near relativistic speeds, crossing the void in seconds. They struck the Kravek shields, which flared brightly, then failed completely as the solid projectiles tore through them and into the ships behind. The Kravek flagship took 7 direct hits. Its hull ruptured in multiple places, atmosphere and bodies spilling into space. 6 more enemy vessels were hit in the first volley, all suffering catastrophic damage. The remaining Kravek ships scattered, clearly unprepared for this type of attack. Their formation, perfect for defending against energy weapons, left them vulnerable to the human-designed kinetic weapons. They're regrouping, Harris reported, changing shield configurations. They can't adapt that quickly, Russell replied. All ships target their engines and continue firing. The second volley was just as devastating as the first. More Kravek ships erupted in silent explosions as tungsten rods penetrated their hulls at velocities their shields simply couldn't stop. On the Varaxian flagship, Commander Trelvox watched in stunned amazement as the enemy fleet, which had devastated 17 Council worlds, was being decimated by technology his people had discarded as obsolete. Order all ships to concentrate fire on their command vessels, he instructed his communications officer. Let's not give them time to adapt. The combined fleet executed a perfect pincer movement, catching the remaining Kravek ships in crossfire. Railguns, conventional missiles, and mines took their toll. Within 40 minutes, the battle was effectively over. The few surviving Kravek vessels fled the system, leaving behind the smoking ruins of their once feared armada. As damage reports came in, Russell couldn't quite believe the numbers. The combined fleet had lost only 2 ships, both Council vessels that had been targeted specifically when the Kravek realized where the kinetic weapons were coming from. Every human ship remained operational. Message from the unyielding might, Daniels announced. Commander Trelvox wishes to speak with you. When the Varaxian commander's face appeared on screen, Russell saw something she never expected. Respect in those alien eyes. Commander Russell, Trelvox said formally. The Varaxian Dominion owes you and your people a debt we cannot easily repay. Your primitive weapons have saved my homeworld. Russell allowed herself a small smile. Sometimes, Commander, the simplest solution is the one you're too advanced to see. 1 year after the Battle of Tau Ceti, Earth looked different. The skyline of Geneva now included several alien structures, their strange angles and materials standing in contrast to the human architecture around them. Above, visible even in daylight, orbital stations and shipyards glowed as human and alien workers built a new generation of vessels. In the Grand Hall of the United Nations, transformed now into Earth's primary diplomatic center, representatives from all 27 council species gathered. The chamber hummed with dozens of languages, translators working overtime to keep communications flowing. Ambassador Lisa Wright stood at the entrance, dressed in formal diplomatic attire. Beside her, Admiral Cooper and Captain Russell waited, in their dress uniforms, medals gleaming on their chests. Nervous? Cooper asked Wright. She smiled. A little. It's not every day humans join a galactic government as equals. Equals we earned, Russell added. Though I still can't believe how quickly things changed. In the year since humans had helped defeat the Kravek, the relationship between Earth and the Council had transformed dramatically. The provisional membership, granted during the crisis, had been made permanent by unanimous vote just last month. Human military officers now served on Council defense committees. Earth scientists collaborated with alien researchers. And most importantly, human weapons technology had been integrated throughout Council space. High Counselor Drax approached them, his reptilian form moving with formal grace. Ambassador Wright, Admiral Captain. Today marks a historic occasion for both your world and the Council. Wright bowed slightly. We're honored, High Counselor. The honor is ours, Drax replied. Your people saved many Council worlds. The ceremony will begin shortly. As they entered the main chamber, the assembled representatives fell silent. Wright led the human delegation to the central platform where the signing would take place. From the crowd, Commander Miller watched with satisfaction. His early days as a mocked military liaison seemed distant now. Beside him stood Dr. Kelly, whose weapons designs had changed the course of the war. Did you ever imagine it would end like this? Kelly asked quietly. Miller shook his head. Not when they were laughing at our primitive weapons. High Counselor Drax raised his hands, and the chamber fell completely silent. Members of the Galactic Council, honored guests. Today we formally welcome Earth as the 28th full member of our ancient alliance. He gestured to a shimmering holographic document floating above the central table. The new Galactic Charter, revised to include human representation in all Council matters. Ambassador Wright stepped forward. A small scanning device read her biometric signature as she placed her hand on the document, making it official. Applause erupted throughout the chamber. Some species clapping hands, others using different appendages or making sounds that represented approval in their cultures. Drax continued, as part of this historic agreement, the Council acknowledges Earth's exceptional contribution to galactic security. The Kravek threat has been neutralized through combined efforts, with human tactical thinking and weapons technology playing a decisive role. He turned to Admiral Cooper. The Council Defense Committee has unanimously approved the integration of human military doctrine into our training programs. Military academies throughout Council space will now include mandatory courses on human warfare strategies and weapons design. Cooper nodded, his expression serious but pleased. This had been one of Earth's key demands, that their approach to defense be given equal standing with the energy-based doctrine that had dominated for millennia. As the formal ceremony concluded, attendees broke into smaller groups for discussion. Ambassador Zolthar approached Captain Russell, who had been promoted but chosen to remain in active service rather than take a desk job. Captain, the Varaxian said, I owe you a personal apology. Russell raised an eyebrow. For what specifically, Ambassador? For dismissing your weapons as toys during our first meeting, for treating humans as children playing at warfare. His stone-like face showed genuine regret. My people's technological arrogance nearly led to our extinction. Russell considered this. Apology accepted. Though I suspect if our positions had been reversed, we might have made similar assumptions. Perhaps, Zulthar agreed. But the galaxy has learned an important lesson. The term human-style thinking is now used throughout Council space as a compliment, meaning innovative and adaptable approaches to problems. Russell laughed. Quite a change from a year ago. Indeed, the ambassador said. Several trading companies on my homeworld have even begun marketing products with the phrase human-inspired to suggest creativity and unexpected solutions. Later that evening, a reception was held on the newly commissioned GSS Unity, the first vessel built jointly by humans and Council engineers from the ground up. Its design combined the best elements of both technologies, Council power systems and sensors with human weapons and redundancy approaches. Admiral Cooper stood with High Counselor Drax on the observation deck, watching Earth's sunset paint the sky in brilliant colors. "Beautiful world you have," Drax commented. "Worth fighting for," Cooper replied. "As all homes are." Drax turned to face him. "The Council existed for 12,000 years before humans joined us. We had grown complacent, convinced our technological path was the only valid one. A dangerous assumption in any field," Cooper said. "Yes," Drax agreed. "When the Kravek first appeared, we attempted to counter their adaptations with even more sophisticated energy weapons, more complex shields, more elegant solutions, while the simple answer was there all along. Exactly." Drax made a gesture that translated roughly to philosophical acceptance. "Sometimes, the simplest solution is the one you're too advanced to, see?" Cooper smiled at the phrase that had become something of a motto in joint operations. "That's why the galaxy needs us all, Counselor. Different perspectives, different histories, and different weapons," Drax finished. "Which reminds me, the new class of defense vessels will be ready for testing next month. Your railgun technology integrated with our phase shift drive systems. I look forward to seeing them in action," Cooper said. "Hopefully only in exercises, not actual combat." "Peace through strength," Drax observed. "Another human concept we've come to appreciate." Below them, the GSS Unity's engines powered up for its maiden voyage. The ship rose gracefully from Earth's surface, its hull gleaming in the last rays of sunlight. The vessel's name had been chosen carefully, Unity, symbolizing the new cooperation between Earth and the Council. But among the crew, it had already gained a nickname that spoke to the true lesson of the past year. They called it the First Shot, a reminder of that pivotal moment when primitive human weapons had changed galactic history forever, and when humanity had proven that sometimes the oldest solutions work when all others fail. As the Unity accelerated into orbit, Admiral Cooper watched it disappear into the darkening sky. 1 year ago, humans had been dismissed as primitive newcomers, barely worth the Council's attention. Now they stood as equals among the stars, all because they remembered what the others had forgotten. Sometimes the simple things work best.